So we're out on our first real training walk with Cliffy. I just worked on some using the collar to direct him, because I know he's kind of pulling against the collar anytime that he goes into it. Really common with dogs that are pulling on leash. So he's really distracted outside, which you kind of mentioned, like dogs are a really big distraction for him, but he finds everything pretty interesting. Like there's a motorcycle coming down the road right now. You can see how focused he is on it. So what I'm going to do with him quite a bit in the first little bit is just reward him for focusing on me outdoors. And that's kind of a basic step that sometimes we miss when we're doing leash training, is the fact that the dog is just really distracted and unable to focus. So we're going to heavily reward focusing on handler instead of on the external, which is, you can see he's just kind of looking at everything. So as soon as he checks back in with me, then I'll give him a food reward and we'll start walking. Yeah, good boy. There we go. So he's going to get a treat here. I have him on my left side and we're going to start walking. Good boy, yeah. So if he checks in again, I'll feed him again. Always on that left side, because that's where we want him to stand. So if he hits the end of the leash, good boy. I'm just going to be a tree. So that's one game, is be a tree, where if he hits the end of the leash, he's going too fast. I stand still and I just wait for him to turn around and come back to me. And I'm encouraging him even further. So he hits the end of the leash, I'm a tree, he can't go any further until he checks back in with me. Yeah, good boy. And I'm encouraging him further by taking a couple of steps backwards here when he's on his way back to get his treat. And like I said, I'm feeding him only in the left heel position. And also, just because he's forging ahead quite a bit, when I feed him, I'm feeding him way back here, like behind my leg. So I'm reinforcing him for going behind the position that I want him to eventually stand in. Treat placement is pretty important for when you're trying to teach a dog a position. Good boy. So we hit the end. So a couple of things that I can tell that you're doing just from handling him on leash. So when he's hitting the end of the leash, sometimes he's getting a couple of steps on you, right? So he's pulling and you're walking with him sometimes. So he's hitting the end of the leash. Yeah, boy. Very good. And sometimes if he pulls into the end, you'll walk with him. And we don't want that. So if the collar is tight, good boy. If the collar is tight, that means come back to the handler. That doesn't mean try to pull harder to get to what you want to do, which is probably mostly in his case, like seeing other dogs or sniffing something. And as he gets older, probably peeing on things. It's just being a boy dog life. Good boy. So anytime he checks in with me, I'm going to reward him. So we're using lots of food in the first week of the training. And then as he starts to become more comfortable with the, hey, good boy, with the be a tree game, and he starts coming back on his own, which he's kind of already doing. He's a smart boy. Then I'm going to reduce the amount of treats, and I'm just going to start using my movement as the reward. So the reward for him is being able to continue the walk after I'm sure that he knows what position I want him to be in, and he's starting to do really well. I'm going to use the forward movement of the walk as the reward instead of having to rely on the treats. So anytime that he's he's going a little too fast, or he's going to bump the end of the leash, I'm doing it already. I'm stopping the walk because he's going a little too fast there. And right now I'm just feeding him when he comes back. So for the dog, the movement of the walk is very rewarding. Hey, good boy. Good job. There's a pool here with a bunch of people and kids. Oh, good boy. Good job. He's already responding quite well to my movement. So when I stop, he's coming back to me. Good boy. Well done. Good boy. Well done. So I'm rewarding him when he comes back after the be a tree, but I also want to reward him when he's walking nicely. So if he's able to take a few steps close to my left side, then I'll reward that as well. Good boy. Well done. Good boy. Well done. Boy. Good boy. Good choice. So the treat is sometimes catching him when he's thinking about speeding up, but he's still going the right pace. So what I'm teaching him there is that when he stays next to me and close to me, that's where all the rewards happen, and it's really awesome. And when he goes too far away and he starts pulling, the walk stops and there's no treats and just sucks way out here. Good boy. Well done. So I'm just, when I said good boy, I'm just marking that when he looks back at me there. Yeah, good boy. Good dog. Good dog. Okay. And he's crossed. So I want the dog walking on my left. So if he crosses here and he's on the right side or he's in front, if it's like a sniffy thing and he's just peeing and I don't mind, it's like a corner area. I'm sure there's lots of dog pee mail there. That's fine. I don't mind that. I don't want him crossing all the time though. And because you want him walking with the stroller, you don't want him crossing either. So if we're just kind of walking down a boring spot and he just decides to cross the center line, like right here in front of my feet, he tries to go that way, then I will stop walking and just encourage him to come back into the left position. That's a little further than I want him to be, so I'm just going to stop. Good boy. Good dog. So right now I think I'm comfortable with him being 2 feet, maybe 3 feet ahead of me. But this leash is 6 feet, so anything over 4 feet, I don't really want him going that far. Good boy. And you can tighten that up further if you want to, but I think that giving them a little bit of freedom, like 2 or 3 feet in front and behind, is fine. If the dog is like really strong and really big, then sometimes I'll try and get them even a little closer than that, but it's usually not really necessary. If the dog, as long as when they feel the tension, they return to you and you aren't getting dragged. That's the main thing. Good boy. I haven't seen any dogs yet. Good boy. Yeah, so that's what we're working on this week.